We have wanted to go for such a long time, and we sent, I probably should not be saying this on the radio, we sent the festival a full color pamphlet that was 4 pages long, and I specifically wanted it to be bigger than someone's head. I was like, I don't want them to miss this. We want to play at this festival
Did it just
so
say,
badly.
Please pick us, please pick us?
Basically, yeah. I mean, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Shameless.
There's like a lot of admin goes into doing any of this music stuff and contacting festivals and things like that, because half the time they get in touch with us, half the time we get in touch with them. But this one, yeah, Elizabeth was determined that they could not ignore it. So it had to be big enough that it would take more effort to ignore it than it would to
Well, it worked, so that's the way to go. Next time you'll be sending life-size models of yourself by the sound of things. Well, I can understand why you'd have to go to that effort for Lorient, because, I mean, 1 million people, at this festival, and there's so many bands who want to play there. And, it's not just trad, is it, at the end of the day? They have folk music, they have sort of like singer-songwriters now. There's a big scutch of dancers and everything as well. Big scutch of different people. So it is undoubtedly quite a tricky place to actually get a spot, I'd imagine.
I think so, yeah, definitely. It took us a few years, but it was so worth the wait. Oh my goodness, it was just incredible.
Well, see if you can describe it for those who don't know.
I would say it's words. As you say, 1 million people over the course of...
He's got his arms out as if he's saying it's very, very big.
Yeah, it's 1 million people over the course of sort of 10 days, surrounded by all sorts of folk music from around the sort of Celtic world, market stalls from everywhere as well, with various different displays. There's pavilions for each country showing off, tourism adverts and all sorts of things. There's so many people are interested in the Isle of Man, which is...
We've got a really
sort of
good
novelty,
place there, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. And people... Well, so if I can just describe for a second my emotional state going into this festival, because I was exhausted. We were at the end of a fairly long festival season, and I think there was something about... We had to stay up all night on a bus and then fly. It was just insane. So we ended up...
Yeah, Isle of Man travel logistics.
Yeah,
it is difficult to get there.
So I was exhausted, and we got to the festival, we got to the hotel, they drove us to the backstage area, and I was sort of in a world totally of my own. Like, I wasn't really thinking clearly, I was just exhausted. We got on stage, and I cannot tell you the immense outpouring of just love and warmth and excitement, and it just completely rejuvenated me. Like, it was like nothing I've ever experienced. And I have to tell you how much we owe that to the Manx bands that have gone before us, because all you have to do is say this next one's a traditional Manx tune, and you've got the entire 2,500 people screaming their heads off. Like, it was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
It was and totally just felt like it changed me on a core level of some kind, really. It was amazing, and the audience was so enthusiastic, just right there with us every second of it.
They loved learning Manx from you as well, didn't they?
They did. It was the first time, so we taught them Manx. It was the first time we've taught Manx to a group that big. And I also did a breathing exercise with them, because I couldn't figure out how to get everyone to calm down before this slow tune that we played towards the end of our set. And I was like, if I just sit here, they'll keep screaming. Like, I don't know what to do. And so we did square breathing as a collective group.
That's amazing.
2,000
Mass meditation at
Yeah.
Lorient.
It was wild.
I
but it
mean, I've
worked.
never heard of that before. So what words did you teach them? What Manx did you teach them?
Well, we have a little bit of a call and response going, so we'll teach them early on in the gig. We'll teach them a sort of typical response to Kiss Tashu, how are you, which is Golas Gagan.
Yeah.
And they love that sort of cultural understatement that we have, I think.
That's a great way of describing it.
It's the same in English, isn't it? It's like the most typical response is probably not bad, isn't it, to how are you?
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
It's just sort of very...
Non-committal.
Yeah. Nonchalant sort of,
Going and grumbling, I think, is one of the best responses you can give.
Sure.
So I'm sure they'd love that.
You teach them all that, don't you? And then we'll test them throughout the gig. We remind them there's going to be an exam.
That's one way to both terrify and excite an audience once you have brought them to a meditative state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm loving
Kiss
it.
Tashu.
So when you said they loved the Manx trad sort of sets that you did, what did they think of your new 80s synth pop vibe?
They seemed to love it. I mean, I feel like I could connect with the audience emotionally while we were actually playing, but then watching the videos after that people had taken was really beautiful because there was all sorts of dancing going on. Some of it was traditional Breton dancing, it looked like, and some of it, there was like a conga line going at one point, and there were people just dancing on their own. There were people dancing with their kids. It was the coolest thing. There were kids riding on their parents' shoulders and putting their hands up in the air. It was just beautiful.
That's one of the things we get a lot when we go to continental Europe, I think. It was the same when we were at Viljandi Folk Music Festival in Estonia and when we were in Galicia. Anywhere, lots of these European countries have a really strong folk dancing tradition, similar to what we have here, where, people hear this music and they might have never heard anything like it before, but they will work out how to fit their folk dancing in, regardless of anything else.
We're going to get our dancing. Well, I have to refer, before we hear another bit of music, I have to refer to a photo I saw on your Facebook I mentioned before of you hugging somebody who was crying, who was just in front of the barrier when you were playing. Tell me about that. Did you know this person?
Not at all. So we were in between sets and I saw that someone was trying to hold up their phone to me in the audience, and there were other people who were holding up other things and I couldn't see and I couldn't read sort of what was going on entirely, but this woman was closer to the front and I couldn't quite tell what the phone said, but then I noticed next to her there was a little girl who was just sobbing. And there was some impulse. I don't know what made me do this in the moment. I wanted to hug her. And I didn't want her to be crying. And so I just jumped off the stage.
No regard to how she was going to get back on.
and no regard to the other however many people stood in the audience waiting for me to do this. They were totally lovely about it. And she could only speak French. The mum said something about her wanting to be me or wanting that, and so I just held her and told her that she was going to be a superstar and that she was, I don't know if she could even understand me, but that she was wonderful, and she started to calm down a little bit at one point, so I got back up onto the stage.